But I think that's a lie. Actually, I don't think that's a lie. That is a lie. AI can still not design as better as human.
Meet Penny. She helps leaders build digital products that work and AI agents that feel alive. I'm Mika, and this is It's a Vibe.
What belief you had about AI that turned out to be a lie?
I thought that AI could replace human. And I think we were taught that AI is going to replace this job, that job replaces your work, your workflow. And that scared a lot of people. And obviously that scared me as well as a designer when I could see AI design really amazing things. And so I thought my job is gone. That's it. I need to do something else, pick up an engineering degree. But I think that's a lie. Actually, I don't think that's a lie. That is a lie. AI can still not replace human, and AI can still not design as better as human. So when I started using AI tools, when I really use it every day as part of my routine, I think there's a difference between trying AI tools and actually using AI tools. Because when you start using it, every day, your workflow, you design, it doesn't design as much as I thought it would, kind of be what replace exactly what I do.
I think you have a lot to say about tools, and I have a lot of questions for that in a minute. But I would love to start hearing like how maybe your career evolved in unexpected ways. Can you walk me through specifically, like through your journey from what you studied to becoming a designer and now diving headfirst into AI?
Yes, of course. Interestingly, if I really have to go back to childhood, I love creating. I think growing up in Asia, especially Thailand, there wasn't a thing such as UX UI design. We've heard of graphic design, we've heard of website design, but there was no UX UI. There wasn't a job title that I was trying to study and get into, but the classic one, right? Lawyers, doctors, engineering that we all know and we studied so hard in high school, and then you go into college. That's the only matching point. We didn't study UX UI in high school. So I started with engineering degree and chemical engineering to be exact. Actually, to be even more exact, it was industrial chemistry / chemical engineering because I wanted to create like my own makeup brand. Like I wanted to create something really like colorful, and to understand colors and makeup, I thought chemistry was my favorite subject. Surprisingly, I was even a chemistry tutor for 4 years. So this was a really random fact that I tell people, that I started with chemistry and engineering, and now I'm a UX UI designer. Obviously, that didn't last long. I survived 2 years of engineering, and I didn't get to create. It was studying physics, math, and science, and I was waiting, when do I get to create my own makeup brand? When do I get to experiment and mix all the colors together? So I dropped out of engineering and just trying to find a degree that actually gets to create something. And I looked at art, I looked at design, I looked at architecture, but I didn't choose art because I feel like I'm not a drawer. I'm not a painter. I'm not someone who, sits in front of canvas. I just like to create things. So I ended up with architecture, which the degree was called computational design. And now the name may sound deceiving, but I thought it was a UX UI degree, but it ended up being an architecture degree, which I don't think the degree exists anymore. So they combined the degree with Bachelor of like Built Environment. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I don't think the degree exists anymore. But I did, essentially it was architecture, and I get to create a lot of things. And when I found out that it wasn't UX UI that I thought it was, I turned every single assignment into UX UI project. Everything that every project was user experience. I design an app, I design a website. Every presentation I have to do, instead of making PowerPoint slide, I made an HTML PowerPoint slide. So I turned everything to UX UI. I chose an elective, specifically UX UI, where my students and my friends in class were building 3D models of architecture. I will be designing an app. So that's how I kind of really wanted to be a UX UI designer, but there wasn't a degree for it. So I graduated and I tried to find a job within the field, but it was really difficult because no one knew what Bachelor of Computational Design was. And I was competing against Bachelor of Design, Bachelor of like engineering, like actual degree that people understood. But computational design was a very interesting one. So I didn't fit into any of the workplace until I applied for a junior design role, like a UX UI. There was like a UX UI role. And because I have such a strong portfolio from all my assignments, I was ready to kind of submit and got the job and, you know, like fake it to make it, that kind of vibe. Yeah. So I just got that job. And then since then, I became a UX UI designer from the moment I graduated. I never had any other jobs except UX UI, and I love it so much. And I've designed for a couple of industries. I went from corporates. I started in corporate engineering. I started in corporate management consulting, in cloud consulting as well, legal consulting. It was a lot of industries. And then I went into startups. And that's where I learned, you know, entrepreneurship and founders. And I felt like to survive as a designer wasn't just creating and being on Figma. And you need to understand business, you need to understand engineering and products. And then that's how I became who I am today.
It's crazy, like how many things you did and where you came from. Like you went from kind of like never failing corporate culture to building your own AI startup, right? So how was your relationship with failure changed? And what did it teach you about like taking risk, specifically maybe creative risks?
I think failure also stems from like, you know, childhood and how you're brought up and how you grow up as well. I think my family, I was fortunate enough to not have like a very strict Asian parents where, you know, in Asian culture, your parents told you to do this and you have to do that. I think I was really, really lucky in terms of like my parents let me do anything I want. And until these days, they still like, so what are you doing? So I was really lucky in that. Even though sometimes in school, I would actually fail a grade, and that was also unacceptable from them. It wasn't okay to get an F in my report. So I've been through that as well. But I also, you know, overcame that. Oh, if I have an F in my report, I'll just repeat the subject again and then pass it. So that mentality was already like failing engineering. I wouldn't even say fail. So I see it more of I never regretted joining engineering because every single day I met all my friends are engineers like mostly, and it taught me a lot in that network of people who have that engineering background. So I never regretted joining it, even though I failed. So I joined corporate culture, but it was a little bit different of failure in a sense that everything I do have like all the design have to be so pixel perfect. Where a lot of time before I joined corporate, I thought failure was okay. In terms of like, if I fail a subject, I'll just repeat. If I didn't pass like engineering, if I didn't graduate engineering, that's still okay. So when I joined corporate, I thought it was okay that I did a spelling mistakes once when I was presenting to a client, and that was a huge issue. And I didn't think it was that much of a big deal, but it was a huge big deal. It went through my performance review twice. So even a little bit of spelling mistakes, or sometimes I forgot like a dollar sign when I have to put in a figure, but that small little mistakes, and I was so freaked out by it that, you know, attention to detail is not my strength, and I have to kind of admit that. I know that attention to detail is not my thing. So when I had that failure of a corporate thing and I wasn't doing a good job, I thought I was just such a bad designer from that point. I thought that I couldn't design anymore. I thought like, this is the end of the world. Like I can't overcome my attention to detail. No matter how much I read over and over and look over my design, I still missed something. And I feel like that's something that you can't just get better in a day. You have to practice. You have to get people to look over it. So when I fail from, you know, corporate, obviously I'm not there anymore. I got so scared to make mistakes again in my design. So then when I joined a startup and I launched a feature and I was a head of UX, so I made a lot of decisions that all right, this feature is fine, launch it. So I have to make a lot of big decisions that impacts the business, revenue, and users. So then when I joined startup for the first time and I launched a feature, I was thinking over and over again, like, should I launch it? Should I do more research? Should I interview more people? Should I look over every single pixel again? Like, I don't want to launch it. And I think the engineers and the business was like, you just, when is it launching? Why are you not launching it? Like, the design's ready. And I'm like, I don't know if it's ready. Like, I need to look over it again. And when it got launched and it actually had a positive impact to the business, I felt like a huge relief that, okay, if I could have launched it earlier, it would have probably made more money in terms of the business. But I think it had a huge lesson in terms of, if I made a mistake, it's still okay. And in a startup world, you move so fast that if you launch it, better than not launching at all. So that's what I kind of like overcame my failure in from corporate to startups.
Yeah, I work with startups every day, and I can understand the need for iteration, and especially with everything that's happened right now, the gaps of time have definitely shrinking. And talking a little bit about like iteration, right? Iteration. I'm sure you tried and analyzed 1,000 of products while researching about your own, that we will talk about in a second. What is the biggest UX mistake you've seen AI companies doing right now in their products and also maybe in their processes or tools?
Oh, I love this question because it was a really funny story. Like, literally last night, I just emailed a CEO of an AI startup from Silicon Valley that your product really needs UX help. And to my surprise, he actually replied and agreed. And I thought he was going to tell me that, oh, you don't know anything better. We have the best UX team in the world. And I felt really like, oh, he actually acknowledged it and he knew it was really annoying from his part. Like, he uses his own product and he felt it was a really bad experience too. So I'm just thinking,
That's
then what are you
crazy.
doing? It was crazy because he knew that it was also a really bad UX. And then what I learned is that I think because when you have so many users, like they have huge customers, like companies who's using their platform, I think when you're trying to fix UX, it's not an overnight thing. And I think that's probably going on in a big company, right? Like very hierarchical, political, that it's a terrible user experience, but you can't fix it overnight because you have to maybe reshuffle a lot of things. So I think a lot of mistakes when users, like UX designers, design for AI products, no matter how many user interviews you do, AI is such a new thing. Name someone that is a designer and uses automation, like very small, a lot of people that still uses AI in this world. I think ChatGPT is a common thing, but even though so many people know how to chat, people don't know how to prompt. Like, I don't even know on top of my head to name a person who knows exactly how to prompt the right thing and gets the right answer, because everyone still makes mistakes these days. So I think when it comes to user experience design and AI, the biggest mistakes is probably, making assumptions and copying existing tools that doesn't always apply to your use case, because every product and AI now looks exactly like ChatGPT, looks exactly like, this is the flow. You connect this box to other box and integrate with Gmail. But because someone did it, it doesn't mean like everyone's just copying each other. That's just design in general, but it's not usable. So that's the kind of like what I'm seeing, the trend in UX and AI.
Because everything is so new and it's like everything is so quick that we see one specific tool, it explodes, it becomes like extremely attractive for everyone, and everyone goes to use a tool. And then we get another one and everyone goes to use a tool. And it is right that there's no way to kind of like differentiate within your business, because everything is so new, what actually serves you and what doesn't. And maybe like in your experience, what should people actually be looking for when maybe evaluating these tools to use within their companies or their products?
I honestly think that free trial is important. I know it is so controversial in terms of like giving up free trials and credits. Like AI is expensive. For every time you prompt, for every time you integrate something, it costs so much, even though it's like 56 cents per prompt, but it all adds up, right? The problem right now is like trying out AI tools still costs me a lot, even though it's a free trial for, let's say, 2 weeks. You're not going to get the prompt right in 2 weeks. I need to try and regenerate. Like, for example, I'm trying to generate a video or an image, right? And I don't know what prompt to pick out from my brain and translating what I'm thinking into a prompt. Like, that's the hardest task, even though it's so easy. Going from describing an image to a prompt. And for the first time, you're not going to get it right. Then you try the second time and you try the third time. By the time you get it right, you probably wasted a lot of money, a lot of credits already. And I think a lot of people don't understand how credit works. I don't understand how credit works. I don't know how many, like, I'm scared to try now because I don't want to lose credits. So, but then the tools is not actually helping me get better at reducing credit as well. So I felt like that's kind of like when you're evaluating new tools, look for, I guess, some kind of free trial or get better at prompt first and trying out, because you could try so many tools and you just end up losing money instead.
Yeah, this is such a great insight. Being creative or kind of like being experimental has become for us so expensive because you want to try new things, you want to be on top of the game, but everything is extremely expensive. And at what cost, right? Because what we were talking about tools, not everything suits you, not everything fits your business and your goals, right? So how do you make sure that by trying you get not only the value that you need for your business, but also the value that you need for, or what you need for your creative process, without losing so much money in the path, right?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, like, because building AI is expensive. A lot of people think that signing up to Lovable, signing up to these kind of software is free, but it's not. You have to sign up, you have to get credits. So that's why there's a large amount of people in the world. If I'm talking like population of the world, majority still don't use AI. So I think we're so tied into tech because we're designers, we work with engineers, we're in the startups. We think like AI, everyone is using AI, but that's not true. There's still way more than 50% that's not using it.
Benny, I want to go a little bit into what you're doing now. Can you tell us a little bit about Sorami? And why do you think, well, maybe you tell us and I have like a follow-up question for that, because I really do have so many questions about how you're making kind of like AI feel more human in some ways.
A really good question. So after trying out many AI tools and losing a lot of money with the credits, I thought that I'll just make one myself because I couldn't find the one that fits. If I don't know how to use it, my mum would not know how to use it, my neighbor. So I'm just thinking, the engineers and the people in tech are moving so fast. And what about the generation behind us and the people who are not so techy? And they're the one who's going to be struggling, as we are introducing new tech. So with AI agents, I find it really useful. And after trying out, I think everyone should just get AI agents. But sadly and unfortunately, we don't have the time to learn it and we don't know how to learn it. And connecting configuration freaks a lot of people out. So Sorami is an experimental project. I wouldn't say I'm going to become a startup founder and raising $1 million and exit it like what other people do. It's more of it's a project for Bizkit that we want to experiment, because if we are going to help clients build AI tools or AI agents, what a better way to learn it that we know how to build it ourselves, and how do we design it? If I'm going to design for an AI company or AI clients in the future, I need to know how to design an AI for myself, or AI in general first. So the approach I'm taking with Sarami is that we are building a personal assistant, just a very simple personal assistant one, but taking the AI out of AI. And there's this concept of skeuomorphism, which is a big word that I learned recently. It's the idea that Apple, when they first launched a mobile phone that is just glass screen, people don't know how to use phone with glass screen. So they have to make every single app look like exactly real life. Calculators, calendar, the note app. So everything has to replicate the real world. So that's how people get used to, if I need a calculator, it looks like exactly calculator, so I know how to use it. So the concept of skeuomorphism needs to come back to AI. And Sarami is a way that we are reintroducing AI agents to people who never get the chance to learn AI. And I think it's beautiful in a way that the hardest part of Sarami and designing, even though this is my business and I'm a designer and this is going to be so easy, it's actually the hardest project that I've ever worked in, because I'm trying to get the AI out of AI so that the onboarding process is not asking what's your name? People don't ask what's your name in person. They know your name already, right? I never ask you what your name is. I know your name is Michaela. So that's the kind of replicating real world experience into the app. So the whole idea of hiring personal assistant, how would you actually hire someone? How would you actually hire an AI agent in real life? You go through and read a resume, you go through an interview, maybe you have a few calls, maybe you look at the skill set, you look at the experience, but putting that experience into an app, into a digital experience instead. And then instead of this personal assistant, so it's called Amy because of Sarami, this person, Amy, she's 23, so I'm making as if she's actually a human. She's 23, she's an extrovert, she's Gen Z, she has an outfit, has a certain style, she likes to drink bubble tea. So it's so hard. And I sat for hours and hours trying to create this person, even though she's a girl, she's an extrovert. It's not that simple to create a person, right? So that's sure. The hardest part. And I think what a lot of chatbot and AI agents don't do well is that they just put a character, but it's actually just a ChatGPT wrapper. Then that's what frustrates me, is that I could literally just use ChatGPT for free, but I just subscribe to this cute AI character that I thought would do way more than that, but it doesn't. We introduce in a way that we have a resume. So we create a resume, like a resume for Amy. The onboarding process is not a 2 weeks free trial. It's a 2 weeks probation period. Because when you hire someone, you don't say 2 weeks free trial. You say probation period. So we go through, and then instead of saying, you pay subscribe $10 a week or a month. In person, when you hire someone, you don't subscribe them, you hire them. So I am taking the technical word out of the AI personal assistant and replacing with real world experience. So that's the kind of concept that I'm doing. And instead of, AI agents that connect to your Gmail or connect to your Slack or calendar, if you're hiring a virtual assistant or a personal assistant, you're not going to get them to connect to Slack or Google Calendar. It's a different language that you use. So that's probably what we're trying to do, is reintroduce AI in a way that is so real world experience that you don't even feel like this is AI. In the future, everyone's going to be using AI agents, and I just don't want the other generations to feel behind. So we're kind of more like future proofing for all generations on how they would use AI agents. Yeah.
This is so interesting. And Penny, do you think, kind of like a follow-up on this, because you talked a lot about making AI feel more human and the empathy that AI doesn't have, maybe that you're bringing. So do you think that making AI feel more human and bringing that empathy, kind of like sensation to it, is the key to AI adoption?
It's the hardest part, right? Because to make AI feel empathy, you have to put in and code in the prompts to make them feel empathy. And me, as the most like unempathetic person, like it is so hard to make another person have that empathy value. I think making AI feel human, AI would never feel like human, right? And I think the idea of Sarami is not to say that AI is your next employees. A lot of marketing and ads that I see these days is AI is your next employees. Hire your next employees AI. But AI will never be your employees. Like it shouldn't be. Like it can't do all of your work, or your business will probably fail if it's doing everything for you. We still need human in there. And so I think there's a misunderstanding that people think subscribing to AI agents will do all the work for you and it's like another employee and you don't need customer service anymore. Like that is not true. You still need human in there. And I don't think people realize that until they actually implement AI into the system. So maybe there's someone out there and one company out there that is a one-person company and everything is run by entire AI team. Maybe let me know if there's someone out there doing that. I would be interested in how they run the AI agents, like AI designers, AI engineers, AI customer support. That would be really interesting. But I think until these days, making AI feel human, I feel like it's still not possible because AI cannot replace human. So empathy part is still there. I think you need empathy for AI. AI will not have empathy for you. So that's the hardest part of creating AI startups, is that it's not the other way around. You need more empathy for AI. So yeah.
Penny, you're now like juggling between founder, between designer, AI product creator. You're doing so many things. I wonder, like, if you had to choose one thing to focus the next year, what route would you go to? What would you do?
So this year I focused, I mean, every single year up until now, I focus a lot being a designer myself. So next year,
Yeah.
sure, now that I have a business, I make that leap, I would focus more to be a founder, which is like bring on that entrepreneurship. I wouldn't say completely drop out of design skills because I will always be a designer, but I think to really grow and grow as a person as well, we constantly going to develop. And I think having that founder mindset is so important to running a business and also important as a designer because I work with a lot of business. So I have to understand business. And I think it helps if you run a business. So founder mindset is a little bit different to designer mindset. It's just a lot of resilience and patience. So that's definitely founder in next year. But in saying being a founder, we also work in an AI space. So it all kind of ties in together. I wouldn't say I'm one or another. My focus is being a founder, but also it's being a founder for my design agency, for my AI products. So it kind of like intertwined that I have to do everything at once. It can't be either one or another.
For sure. And also I think that product designers nowadays, especially product designers nowadays, cannot be defined by one role, right? Because we know business, we know design, we know experience, we know so many things. And being that as a founder, I think gives you such an advantage into going and take your product and doing your next step, which is, I mean, again, I'm really looking forward to seeing where Sarami goes next.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Penny, I think my last question for you, and kind of like wrapping up everything, would be what's something you think that AI could never replicate or replace about you?
I feel like this should be an easy question because I talked a lot about how AI cannot replace human. So
Exactly.
definitely cannot replace me. honestly, I think creativity and originality. Interestingly, someone actually told me not to use a lot of AI when you have a lot of original idea, because AI will learn that and then will output it for someone else. So that's if I have to come up with a creative writing, and I'm typing in AI, write me a story, a bedtime story for my kids. It will write a story based on existing stories already out there, because it's trained by human. It's trained by what human writes and what it reads. But what AI cannot do is creating that original story that in my head, that I experience from what I see, from what I grow up, from how I interpret an object. It would never be able to do that, unless maybe AI is in my brain and it's capturing, like, maybe we're getting into that phase in the future at one point. But until what it is, when I see, let's say, cup of glass, is it half full or is it half empty? AI can't think. It would just say whatever the human used to say, like a common answer. Maybe I might try that with ChatGPT, but I haven't tried. But the way I interpret this, it could be completely different. Maybe it's not even water. Maybe it's, sparkling drinks. And when it's sparkling drinks, it bubbles up. So maybe it's nearly becoming full. So I think that's the kind of what AI pretty much cannot do. And we need humans still. We need pretty much human to train AI.
Yeah, there's nothing like an original idea, and this is something I chatted with another guest that I had here in the podcast. The original ideas as humans have are completely different.
For sure. I think another point I want to also touch on, apart from originality, is I think AI still and will never be able to feel pain. And I think it's such a strong point. I don't think anyone have thought of it, that how do you make AI feel pain? And that's tied into empathy a little bit. For example, like, we go to therapists and we talk about our lives and depression and all these very hardcore subjects like pain, right? Which stem from childhood. What's AI gotta know? AI is knowing from experience what humans are saying. So, a lot of people rely on ChatGPT now to give them advice on how to overcome stress, pain, mental health. But AI is literally taking from website information. It's just that we can't be bothered reading it ourselves. AI is summarizing it for you and telling you things that you want to hear. So
Yeah,
I feel like you'll get a different response if you talk to human than talk to AI when it comes to emotion and pain. And that's something AI would be never able to replace. Even though there are some startups out there already that uses human faces to make it feel like, with an AI psychologist, and uses like human pictures. And you can tell like they generated AI pictures, because human aren't perfect. Like AI makes them so perfect that like this is so not usual picture. Even like photographer studios, you can tell like that is AI. So there's still that aspects, and I would be very interested to know how the world is evolving in the future in terms of AI feeling pain, and what is going to happen once AI can become your doctor, your mental support. Like what is it going to do? And I think it's a very dangerous territory.
It is dangerous. It is also exciting, like to understand where can we take it, right? That is so intriguing to me. Like, can we actually do it? Can we actually make it feel something?
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll have to make another episode and kind of like chat about this in a couple of years maybe. But everything is going so fast that we never know. So it's amazing.
What I've learned from building Sorami AI, because we have to create a persona for this AI agent called Amy. And while I was coding with the engineers, well, I don't code, but I sit next to him, right, to watch him, like, how do you train Amy to be 23, to be an extrovert, to talk like Gen Z language, to feel like, to have a slang, to not feel conversation. And he said, you need to write down prompts by prompts like write down, you are extrovert, you are 23, you are. And I was like, oh, I can use ChatGPT to do that. I put in ChatGPT, write in prompts for a 23-year-old character. And the engineer told me, Penny, you can't get an AI to train AI. Like, that's not how you have to do it yourself. It doesn't work. And then he showed me that I copied and pasted the ChatGPT prompts into the training model, and then it didn't work. And he's like, you're not specific enough, and ChatGPT is not going to know. You just have to do it. And I just sat there and I felt completely lost because I've used AI a lot to, help me write things, come up with ideas. And I never thought in a life that I would be sitting here and have to think for myself that I can't go to AI anymore because I can't get AI to train AI because AI is trained on human. Yeah.
There is such ambiguity into the future and where this all will take us. But I mean, at least for me, I'm here for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, sit there and watch, see what happens.
Exactly. Penny, thank you so much for this chat. It was amazing learning about you, your experience, your Sorami in specific, and how you're building this. And yeah, let's sit and watch where it takes you. And I'm excited to chat in a couple of months maybe and see where you're at with this.
Thank you so much. We're excited. I think we have a launch date of like September, so that's all coming, the first iteration.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Good luck with this.
Oh,
Thank you,
good.
Penny.
Thank
It was
you.
great.